When a cop does something wrong, whether it's being disrespectful, stopping you for no reason, or using excessive force, you might feel like standing up for yourself right then and there. But no matter how unfair it seems, the street is not the place for you to fight that battle. Arguing, ignoring commands, or resisting will only escalate the situation and will always put you in a worse position. For example, let's say you get pulled over and a cop says step out of the car. You might first want to talk to them and plead your case and convince them to let you go. But if you do this for too long, you could be charged with obstructing, which is basically when you make the cop's life difficult and don't listen to what they tell you to do.
Wasn't doing anything besides
I'm not
driving.
Going to sit here and argue with you. I'm going to ask you to step out of the car, or we're going to remove you out of the car. Your choice. I'm trying to be nice. I have not been disrespectful, have I?
No, but I don't think I've done anything to be detained for. Do not reach into my car. Do not reach into my car. Stop, stop.
Hey, park the car.
Stop, stop, stop.
Get out of the car.
Oh my God.
Get out of the car. Put your hands behind your back.
Get out of the car. Okay, okay.
Put your hands behind your back.
While it might seem like this officer was wrong, he wasn't. He is allowed to do that, but she isn't allowed to ignore his commands. And that's the most common way people screw themselves over and get in more trouble than they should.
At most, you would have got a verbal warning and you would have been free to drive off. All you had to do was step out of the car.
Another good example of obstructing is when police tell people who are recording them to move back. It might seem like they're trying to hide something from you and prevent you from recording, but the reason why they do this is to make sure you don't interfere with whatever is going on. While you're within your right to record, you can't do it too close.
Give us space.
I'm not.
Give us space.
Okay. What's your space? What's your space?
So if police say move back and you still ignore them, you can get arrested.
Okay.
What's your badge? What's your name?
Step back. You can record all you want, but you're stepping back right now.
Now these are things you should not do. But what should you do? If a cop really did something wrong, how do you get your justice? Instead of arguing or even physically fighting back, the real fight happens later in court, through complaints and legal action. While it's not a sexy answer, it is the only answer that can get results and is not as hard as you might think. I'm going to break down all the wrong things cops can do, what you could do, and what is the likely outcome. Let's start with the lowest level of misconduct, which is when a police officer is disrespectful. Whether or not you have committed a crime, the police can't be rude or disrespectful to you.
I don't care. You're a idiot. I'll tell you again, you're an idiot. I'm gonna you up when I see you too.
Now, if a cop yells at you and says,
Put you on the goddamn hand. You're on your fucking back.
then that's not being rude or disrespectful. They're allowed to command things to you, especially in scenarios like that. So what can you do if this happens to you, though? Well, you could first start off by making a complaint. And you could do this by making a complaint with the actual police department. It will go to the Internal Affairs Division, which is a separate department where cops oversee other cops. They're still part of the organization, but their job is to investigate when someone within the department does something wrong. Now, if you don't like the idea of police policing themselves because you think they'll cover for each other, you might be able to go somewhere else. Not all places have this, but some cities have a third-party independent review board that you can also reach out to make a complaint. These are often made up of a mix of cops and civilians so that there's a balanced viewpoint from both perspectives. Regardless of where you make your complaint, it will be treated as a mini courtroom where they will look at body cam footage, testimonies, and any other evidence before they make their determination. So what can the outcome of this be? Well, it obviously depends on the situation, but something like being rude to someone may constitute a verbal warning, retraining, or a loss of a few vacation days, and in extreme cases, even fired. Again, it all depends on the different factors. Now let's take it a step further. What if the issue wasn't just how police spoke to you, but what they did to you, like stopping you without a reason or improperly searching you? But since this act is a violation of your constitutional rights, you can be eligible to sue the police department for damages. And suing the police department can be done in addition to making a complaint. While you can hire a private lawyer, there are many organizations that deal with protecting your rights and can take your case pro bono. So what's the outcome if a cop violates your rights? Well, this might be surprising, but it's often treated with more training. It can still be paired with a warning, loss of vacation days, or all the way up to termination. It just all depends on the situation. And let's say you were arrested and police got evidence on you. If the way they found that evidence was through an improper search or stop or so on, then that evidence can't be used in court. This is called the exclusionary rule, and it's meant to send a clear message. While public safety is important, how it is achieved matters and doesn't come at the expense of your rights. Even if you had something illegal on you, police can't break the rules to catch you.
When the judge in that criminal case first finally saw that video, held that basically everything that happened after the legal traffic stop, once it became illegal, everything was suppressed. So he got out of the criminal charges, and now he's filed a civil lawsuit.
Okay, let's take it a step higher. What if an officer was wrong and arrested an innocent person? What if that happened to you? And because of a cop's wrongful arrest, you spent nights in jail and missed out of work and had your reputation ruined. What's the punishment for this? Surely it has to be more than a cop just being fired. Surprisingly, no. In fact, there is no punishment for this wrongful act as long as the officer acted in good faith. Now, before you get all up in arms, you have to understand that police are not the judge of your guilt or innocence. That's the court's job. Police only look at what evidence is in front of them and decide if that's enough of a reason to believe that you are involved in a crime. That's called probable cause, and it's the amount of evidence needed for police to arrest you. So if at the time of an arrest, police got evidence that seems legit, they're allowed to make an arrest even if it ended up being wrong later on. For example, if someone says that you hit them, police have to take their word and arrest you for assault. Even if no one else saw it happen and you have no marks, police still have to take their complaint serious, and that's enough to make police arrest you. If it turns out to be a lie after the fact, as long as police did their due diligence, they will not be punished for arresting an innocent person. Now, if they didn't do their due diligence, that's a different story. Like if they ignore evidence that proves your innocence so they can get the arrest to boost their career.
While Officer Winters does not tell Galanakis the results of the test, the zeros can be seen on the body camera video.
Right now you're being placed under arrest for operating while intoxicated, okay?
I'm not intoxicated. Sir, I'm not intoxicated. I blew zero.
This is obviously wrong. It's also wrong if police don't do their job at all. Like knowing someone committed a crime, but they ignore it because they don't want to do all the paperwork. If any of this happens to you, like always, you can make a complaint and sue, and the outcome can be any of these things listed here. Now let's talk about one of the most serious things an officer can do, which is using excessive force. The process of what you do is the same, and it almost always is. You can go make a complaint and you can sue, and the outcome can still range from these things listed here. But sometimes when this happens, police can get temporarily suspended, but with pay.
White Asheville police officers pin black man by neck.
A lot of people get upset about this, which makes sense, because suspension with pay is basically a vacation. But the reason why this happens is often because many police unions have seen that their officers get penalized too early, without the full story coming out. So they fought in their union contract that the officer can get suspended with pay until the full incident is explained. That way the cop doesn't get victimized if they are innocent, but they can still get punished if found guilty of wrongdoing.
In releasing the body camera footage, police synced officers' videos with the onlooker's cell phone video, showing discrepancies with the reporting. Police point out the responding officer positioned her arm between the pavement and Devin's head so that she would not put any pressure on his neck.
Now there are times when the force used is so bad, a cop just losing their job wouldn't cut it. So they can also get criminally charged. Let's look at two scenarios to understand this better. In scenario 1, a man with a knife is threatening police and police shoot the man. In scenario 2, a man is threatening police but has no knife and police still shoot. In scenario 1, this is seen as legally justified because the person had a deadly weapon and posed a real immediate threat. But if the officers rushed in and started shooting without trying to calm things down first, their department can still say that they used excessive force. That might get them disciplined at work, but it probably wouldn't lead to criminal charges because the law would still see the shooting as justified. In scenario 2, since the threat wasn't as serious, deadly force might not be legally justified at all. That means the officers didn't just use excessive force, they might have also committed a crime, like assault or even manslaughter. In that case, prosecutors can bring charges against them, and the court would have to decide if they're guilty. And not all criminal actions against police involve excessive force. Sometimes officers commit outright illegal acts, like drunk driving or getting into fights. Just because they're a cop doesn't make them above the law. So in cases like these, not only can they get criminally charged, but they can get disciplined by their department. And if you ever feel like a cop is being protected when doing something illegal, you can always make a complaint and it will get investigated. Again, most likely by their own department. But if a cop starts to really abuse their power, like robbing drug dealers or overlooking other illegal acts for certain benefits, then this kind of corruption can potentially get investigated by the FBI. So even when it feels like nothing will happen, there are higher levels of oversight that can step in when corruption runs deep. And at the end of the day, police are not immune from justice, and there are many tools in your pocket that you can use to get that justice. So let's talk practically about what happens when you make a complaint or sue. Does it get ignored, or do you just waste your time? You'll be surprised how seriously your complaint will be taken. Some internal affairs divisions in police departments are pretty strict, and they routinely do sting operations and try to catch officers slipping up, even without complaints being made.
I've counted over 48 strikes, and to me, in my opinion, that's excessive, and it was abusive. This was all self-initiated. The FBI and the Department of Justice investigation was self-initiated by my office.
But I'm gonna be honest, the system that polices police is not perfect. Not all police departments are super upright, and some will try to cover up for their cop friends. While this is rare, it still happens. Even separate organizations that are not part of the police department can be underfunded, have little power, and be inundated with complaints that make it feel like they're not effective. And in severe cases, the corruption runs so deep that there isn't a higher level to look for integrity. Thankfully, the US hasn't gotten to that level, but no place is immune to that level of corruption. Many times you won't know the cop's name or badge number who wronged you, and while some departments require that an officer gives their card with identifying information, not all cops listen.
Can I get a card from you? I don't have one now. We don't have one. They don't give us cards. Okay, what's your badge number? 1059. Let's see if I can get my phone.
Hold on, we have cards.
So be smart. Start recording from the beginning of the interaction, even if it seems like it's gonna go well. Get the officer's name and badge number before things escalate. And while it's not illegal if you do, it's not a good idea to be disrespectful. Always keep your hands visible, especially if you're dealing with a jumpy cop. And never, ever, ever physically resist a cop. Even moving your hand back when they go to grab you can escalate things way more than it needs to. Like I said in the beginning, making a complaint or taking legal action is not the most satisfying way to get your justice. It is a long process, and even if there are organizations that will help you for free, it can still be daunting. But if you really want change, this is going to be your best return on investment. And call out every injustice when you see it happen. No matter how small, people act properly when they know they're going to be checked.
Could I have your business card?
You recording?
Could I have your business card?
Are you recording?
I'm asking you for your business card.
Right here. Yo, Tavares, Blank 19489.
That's why you need to check the police. When you see they did something wrong, report it. Don't ignore the fact that they spoke to you rudely. Don't ignore the fact that their stop was improper. Don't ignore the fact that they used too much force on you. When this happens enough, police will be on their toes and always act properly because they will have the impression that anyone they deal with may report them.
So you're a deputy?
I'm the chief deputy.
You're the chief.
Can you give me a break, man?
You know I can. Absolutely can't. It's on camera. I can't do anything about it.
Now, just because you make a complaint against a cop who does wrong, doesn't mean you're a cop hater.
I've been approached from wide-ranging members of our police department, both sworn and civilian, and they have unequivocally said, Chief, that's not us. That is not who we are.
And we can respect the fact that police do a very tough job while also calling out those actions of those who do bad. And just because some cops do wrong things doesn't mean we should villainize all cops just for being cops. But it doesn't mean that you have to protect every cop blindly either, especially those who messed up. Regardless if you hate or love the police, calling out a cop's bad action is something everyone should agree on. And remember, police are not only part of the government, which is something we should always be cautious of. They are the muscle of the government. When the government tries to infringe on your rights, police will be the first to do so. They are a paramilitary organization, which means they must obey the command of their higher-ups. And if their higher-ups say do something, like arrest people for speaking out against something they don't want to hear, or fire into an unarmed crowd, it will be the police that enforce these commands.
Hey, you wasn't supposed to smack him in the face. The f is wrong with you? Hell no, man. I'm on my property. I ain't gotta listen to you. Man, I'm on my property. You can't come over here and do nothing to me. Hey, you ain't got a search warrant. You can't come over here, man. Man. Hey, look, I got you all on camera right now. I'm on my private property.
If we fail to hold them accountable in the everyday moments, the stops, the searches, the petty abuses of power, then we create a culture of freedom from consequences. And that then extends all the way up to the most serious violation. Every unchecked act, no matter how small, lays the groundwork for the larger ones. And by the time those larger ones happen, the mass arrests, the violent crackdowns, the silencing of dissent, it's too late. The patterns were already established. Accountability at the smallest level is what prevents catastrophe at the largest. And that's why criticism is not only justified, it is essential.